Morning.
The meeting to order this morning. Item 4. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any new appointments to the commission, Mr. Holliday?
There are not.
Roll call, please.
Kyle Allen, Dwayne Arndt, Jeanette Bass, Thomas Black,
Here.
Kevin Brightsky,
Here.
Robert Carnahan,
Here.
Bill Carroll, Tim Clayton, Anthony Copeland, Don Kraft,
Here.
Josh Wayne Denham,
Present.
Tom Dermody,
Present.
Dinah Dumbrus, Denise Ebert,
Here.
Bill Emerson,
Here.
Robert Forster, Connie Bramerosa, Richard Hardaway,
Here.
Tony Hendricks, Ellen Hunt,
Here.
Jack Geralds,
Here.
Jane Jordan,
Here.
Justin Keel,
Present.
Scott Keenan, Peter Land,
Here.
Robert LeMay, Sue Went,
Here.
Tom McDermott, Lori Mercer,
Here.
Wendy Miss,
Present.
Edward Morales,
Here.
Matt Murphy, Randall Niemeyer, Dwayne Ferry, David Peeler, Jim Pressel, Jerome Prince, Barb Regnitz,
Here.
Lisa Rosenkrantz,
Here.
Regina Riddell, Rick Rifa, Tom Schmidt,
Here.
Brian Snedcore,
Present.
Steve Spivard,
Here.
Robert Starkey, Red Stone,
Here.
Gerald Swets, Sharon Zuido,
Here.
Jim Tunn,
Present.
George Topple,
Present.
John Yokich.
Here.
We have 28. After the report, we should have a quorum of the full commission.
Thank you.
We have no public comments this morning. At this time, we'll entertain a motion for the minutes from October 19th, the executive board meeting.
So moved.
Second. Motion is second that we approve the minutes from October 19th, 2023, executive board meeting. Any discussion?
I just want to confirm the second.
Who
Thank
seconds? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, say. Motion carries. Thank you. At this time, reports from the chair. Very briefly, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for this year. It's been a great year, and I appreciate the support, and most importantly, I appreciate all of the years that I've been on NERC. This is my last meeting, so it's kind of heartfelt. But also, I'd like to thank Ty and his staff, most importantly. This has been a labor of much love because Ty's staff is extended arm of him. I've never worked with so many professional people in all of the committees and everything that I've ever worked with. It's been a pleasure to work with each and every one of you, especially the finance group. You guys are amazing, and I appreciate everything that you did and have done, and please continue to do the same. Thanks.
Our
Are we going to recognize anybody else that may be leaving us?
Well, we can.
Yes, because we're gonna lose a few people and we ought to recognize them and thank them for their service.
Okay.
Anybody that's leaving?
Well, I'm just looking around the room. Mayor Snedeker also has had a very, very long tenure at NERC. He was NERC chair as I was coming in.
Can I just quickly add to the comments? You know, when coming to a group like this, with all the different government entities that we represent and all the personalities, and to be able to come together for the common good of the people we represent, and to accomplish what this group accomplishes, tied to you and your staff and the whole team that makes us all work. I just applaud the efforts of NERC and what we accomplish yearly. There's so much that through the years has gone through this body, and we should all be proud of the accomplishments of NERC. I think we're a kind of a poster child for what other governments should seek to be like. So thank you. It's been an honor to be here and to serve and work alongside every one of you.
Yes.
Can I also recognize Sue Wrench?
Yes.
This is her last meeting, and I'll tell you what, besides being an advocate for what happens here at NERC, Sue is a quality individual, leaves politics at the door, and comes here and works extremely hard, not only for her community, but for the region, and she will be missed.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Okay, our commission, the nursing commission meetings calendar for 2024 on page 3. Good, thank you.
Great. We'll just transition into my report as well, but just these are the meeting dates for 2024. For those of you that may be newer to the commission, or just to reinforce what the expectation is as you are appointed to the NERC commission, the 4 dates on the calendar, which is on page 3 again, that are in bold and shaded, those are the full commission dates. And for everyone, those are the commission dates that are really critical for you to attend. Those are the 4 per year, and it's really all that's expected. The meetings in between are the executive board meetings. Those are just the folks that normally just sit up here. And those meetings come in between the full commission meeting dates. You are more than welcome to always come to those meetings and participate. But the meeting itself is votes of the executive board only. So you're encouraged to come, but the real expectation for the whole commission is those 4 shaded dates. You might note on here, we do take breaks on this calendar for 2024 in May and July. So we have a couple of times November, sorry. For like the meeting today, we move up the meeting in December for a special date in order to accommodate the holidays and try to stay as much out of all the hoopla as we can. So that happens there as well. So the December 5th date is not the 3rd Thursday. All the other dates are 3rd Thursdays of the month, so they should be pretty easy to remember. So that's really on the calendar. Should I just go ahead and keep moving on? Yeah. So the only item I want to talk about before doing some well-deserved staff recognitions is I did not know that Mr. Carnahan was going to bring copies of the November Lakeshore Public Media schedule. I actually brought December's public media schedule as a talking point. Last night, I was able to be at the premiere of Walkable USA, which is right on the cover of the Lakeshore Public Media document. This is a documentary that Tom Desch and Patricia Obuskowski, if you have watched Everglades of the North or Shifting Sands, which were 2 wonderful documentaries that went national on the PBS circuit about our region. Shifting Sands being about the alliance and working together and the story that you all know between industry and environment along the lakefront. And then Everglades of the North being about the Kankakee, or former Kankakee Marsh and the Kankakee River that is the southern boundary of our region. 2 wonderful documentaries. Just as a side note, I was at a conference in Phoenix, and I got to talking with one of the attendees who she was from Arizona herself, and
when she found out where I was from, she had just said, I just watched this documentary. It's a fascinating story up there. So you're getting national attention, just phenomenal film crew. Well, Tom Desch, who helped with those other two films, is just releasing, the premiere was last night in Hammond, a film documentary about the work that's been done in downtown Hammond with Jeff Speck, who is a nationally recognized planner in new urbanism. And Hammond was able to bring him on board to develop what's really quite an exceptional plan for downtown Hammond. And this film documentary documents the process of going through that planning effort and putting Hammond on the track to try and restore its downtown. And the reason I wanted to mention that today is because you have the opportunity to view it on, I think December 7th, you can look online, but December 28th on Lakeshore Public Media, it will get premiered on our local PBS station. And then they will also be trying to push this out nationally. But having gotten to see the premiere last night in Hammond at the Toll Center and having seen this tremendous reaction to it, I just wanted to put this on your radar screen because it's a good news story about Northwest Indiana, about great planning work that's being done. So again, December 28th is the premiere on your local PBS station. So.
And if I could jump in, since I did pass these out, I serve on a citizen advisory board for Lakeshore Public Media. And they gave me these at last month's meeting, so that's why it's November instead of December. But a lot of people believe that Channel 11 PBS is what you should be watching. But we have our own PBS station right here in Northwest Indiana, which covers Lake Porter and LaPorte County and many more. But you need to be looking at that and possibly help donate to keep that station going. And that's why they asked me to bring these here and give a little brief promotion on them.
Thanks. You can go to the November schedule to look at the website for December. So the Walkable USA premiere, Bob gave me a chance to look it up. December 28th at 8 p.m. If you're able to catch that, and will also be encore presentation on December 31st at 11 a.m. So December 28th at 8 and December 31st at 11. So that is that. Now if I can transition, as you know, if you've been at NERC for a while, we like to recognize milestone anniversaries of staff, and we have two today who I'm happy to present certificates of appreciation for. The first is Scott Weber, who is up against the back wall on one side. Scott is you may have interacted with him on some very technical things at NERC. Scott is great. Scott is kind. Scott is extremely professional and extremely helpful. And he keeps our modeling going for Northwest Indiana. That is the very technical process of trying to figure out where everybody is going in Northwest Indiana so that we can project where improvements are needed in Northwest Indiana. It's very technical and very complex, and Scott does it with grace and a great deal of professionalism. And he's actually been here 10 years, which has gone really fast. That is shocking to me, but congratulations, Scott. I'll meet you halfway so you don't have to walk all the way. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for your service. And then the second one that I have is also on the other side of the back wall. And this shocks me because also for a long, this now puts this individual in the longest serving, at least that's currently serving, NERC employee that we have. And that is Mitch Barloga,
Yes.
who has been here for 20 years. I almost feel like I don't need to say anything about Mitch because I think he's probably interacted with every one of you at one time or another. He's been described as a zealot for trails. I know sometimes we've had to work out some issues where we need to work very hard and try to make some of these real regional connections. But what amazes me about Mitch is not only his ability to communicate what's needed in Northwest Indiana, but his ability to be able to keep in mind every single trail connection that I could possibly think of or ask about in Northwest Indiana and what community is doing what about it and what we need to do to continue to make that connection. So I don't think I need to tell you all the impact that Mitch has had on the landscape of Northwest Indiana is huge. So 20 years is amazing. So congratulations. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Environmental Management Policy Committee, Mr. Emerson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, good morning.
Yes,
I'm sorry, I just wanted to announce that Dinah Gumbers has also joined us, so we're like,
thank you.
Right, thank you for joining us.
I'm sorry.
No problem. Good morning, everyone. The Environmental Management Policy Committee met on November 2nd. We had a grant workshop, kind of roundtable among the members to kind of get more information out to our membership on environmental grants that are available and things like that. It's really good workshop. And we actually still have some openings available for next year, for 2024. So if anyone has an environmental topic they'd like to present to the Environmental Management Policy Committee, please let us know. And our next meeting is January 4th. So we'll see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Finance and Personnel Committee, Mrs. Miss.
Good morning, everybody. The Finance and Personnel Committee met this morning and we reviewed the financial reports for the month of October 2023. We reviewed the bank reconciliations and the claims for October as well, and we found them to be in satisfactory order. There's a few action items for your consideration today. The first item was a review of, or the proposal for our calendar year 2024 budget. Talea is available to share a few highlights of the budget, and I just want to forewarn you that our committee gave a favorable recommendation. So, Ms. Jones, would you share just the highlights, please?
Yes, calendar year 2024 budget on page, for our total fund budget, we budgeted $4,333,880. For our 2024 Transit Capital Project Funds appropriation budget, we budgeted $4,495,525. For our calendar year 2024 Transit Operating Projects Fund budget, appropriation budget, we budgeted $8,673,149. And for our 2024 revolving loan fund appropriation budget, we budgeted $272,000 for an overall total budget of $17,774,555.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to echo what Chairperson Hardaway said. It's a pleasure to work with the Finance Committee or the Finance staff here at NERC. We're really pleased. We had some questions, they answered them, and we were pleased with this 2024 budget. So we'd like to recommend a favorable approval by the full commission, and thank you, all of you that are here, so we can vote on it in a timely manner.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and second that we approve the 2024 budget. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ms. Jones. The next item is a request for approval for a second addendum for the Executive Director's Employment Agreement. And I will turn this over to Attorney Hollenbeck for some additional information for the group.
Thank you. On page 20 of your agenda packet, you will find the second addendum to Executive Director Employment Agreement. Ty is ending his second year under the original agreement, and 2024 will be the third year of that three-year agreement. Pursuant to that, the process for identifying and recommending a salary for 2024 involved Richard and myself sitting down with Ty and going over his performance and the status of what's going on at NERC. I was planning on turning this over to Richard and letting him tell you what he thinks, but I think he already pretty well did that.
Thank you.
Richard, do you have anything to add?
No, I just think that, like I said, very professional, and his staff exhibits that every day that you come in contact with him. And so he's a great leader and very deserving of anything that we will give him today.
That critique manifests itself in a proposal for a 4% salary increase for Ty for 2024, which would bring his compensation to $183,055. Answer any questions anyone may have, but the Finance and Personnel Committee does recommend this compensation. And I will also observe, as I've already indicated, Ty will be a free agent after the 2024 year. So we have to keep that in mind as well. Questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, it would be appropriate for the chair to entertain a motion to approve the second addendum to Executive Director Employment Agreement.
I so move.
Who seconded it?
George. 13. Looks like you got a lot of planning. Okay, motion to second that we approve the second addendum to Ty's contract. Is there any other discussion? All in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. It's a
We
pleasure.
do think Ty does quite a real positive, has a positive impact on our region and moves it all forward. So thank you for all your hard work on our behalf, Mr. Warner. The next item I have from our committee meeting this morning is a request for local appropriation adjustment. And Mr. Warner will share some additional information for us all.
Yeah, thank you. We have talked about this issue multiple times at Finance and Personnel Committee and even here at the full commission. This is just updating a resolution that you approved in 2019, both at the beginning of the year and towards the end of the year. And this is simply trying to keep it current and fresh and all that sort of thing, but it's exactly the same as what was approved before, except that the numbers are different. Kevin, could I ask you to just flip a chart on up here, just to help illustrate? So, again, for those of you that may be newer to the NERC Commission, we receive a local appropriation from the 3 counties that enables NERC to get its local match in federal dollars. And so the value of that far exceeds what we receive in those local appropriations. It's just like all federal grants, it's at 80-20. So we're able to match, use that dollar to get a multiplier of 80% of federal funds that we use for our PL funds, which is planning law funds, which is the administrative funds that pays most of staff and pays for what most of what NERC does through our function as a federally designated metropolitan planning organization. Just like you have to do when you get federal grants, we have to match the federal grants to be able to operate. So that's what we do. And then that local appropriation pool also gets used for matching miscellaneous grants that we go after on behalf of the region for other things. And it also is the unrestricted, unencumbered source of funds that we have to do those various things that you may ask us to do, whatever it may be. If we don't have a particular grant to cover that activity, that's the source of funds that we're able to use to be able to serve municipalities and do whatever you need from a regional perspective, whether that's data, modeling, mapping, etc. So that's 70 cents per capita. And again, we've talked about this a lot, but I know a lot of folks are newer here on the commission. The 70 cents per capita is what's in state statute. So the state statute that creates NERC establishes that 70 cents per capita. That was done back in 1992. If you could, yeah, if you find it, you go ahead. That's right. So in 1992, obviously we're in 2023, the value of 70 cents per capita from 1992 is far less than it was then, and now in 2023. In fact, if you can get the chart up, it's all right.
I'm trying it.
Yeah, it just illustrates the buying power of 70 cents today, which is down to like 30 cents or so. So, and that continues to drop. So what that has essentially meant for NERC is we're able to do less and less and less and less. Every year it gets more challenging for Talea to do this budget with a much reduced source of local funds. So what again was passed in 2019 and then is also back before you today is to ask the legislature to change our enabling statute to adjust that 70 cents per capita to current dollar value. So adjust that, there you go, thanks God. There's the chart for just what 70 cents is today. So you can just see the downward curve. I don't think this is a surprise to anyone that's dealing with inflationary pressures and everything. So what was established back in 1992 today only gets us a little over 30 cents. And then if you go ahead and flip, that would be right sizing the number to today's figures, so 70 cents per capita. If you do even the Bureau of Labor Statistics calculation on what the value of 70 cents is today, it does vary depending on what exact month you use, but a nice just round number is $1.50, so that's what was put into this resolution. But the intent of the resolution is to ask the legislature to right-size that amount for 2023 and then index it to consumer price index thereafter. So it just stays current to the amount that we receive based on what it costs us to operate. The thing I should mention as well is that, again, that source of funds handles a host of activities that we would not otherwise have the funding to do. And we're not asking in this resolution for the legislature to increase what NERC receives, like asking for more money. This is simply right-sizing what was adopted in 1992. It's taking that value to current value and just making sure that it stays current value so that we don't have to deal with this in the future. So we're not asking for above and beyond what was done in 1992. We're just trying to make it current dollar value. That's all we're asking for in this resolution.
You also stated in our committee meeting that attempt has been done twice to get this done and it has failed. And it's got to go through the state legislature and they could just pass it themselves, but they usually rely on the county to agree with what we're asking.
That's correct. This doesn't come from state funds. This comes from the county appropriations. So the statute is what dictates that amount. But obviously, it would be copacetic for everyone to be on the same page on behalf of the region, that the region wants it and is supportive of it. So the legislature could enact that change, but it would obviously be better to have the support of the region and know that the counties are aware of this is happening and all the rest so that they can budget for it appropriately. So that is true. And there were a few other attempts to get this. One was prior to, when we adopted the resolution in 2019, prior to COVID, and we just lost a lot of traction in that time period of being able to get this through the legislature. And then my predecessor, John Swanson, had started to work on this previously as well. And I wasn't here, so I can't speak to whatever specific situations were going on at that time, but he also lost traction in that process back in his time. So that's what this does.
And so anybody that you talk to their state legislatures, they need to do that.
We appreciate that very much. Because again, this is ultimately coming back to you. This is service for the region. That's what this is for. And this enables us to be able to serve you and being able to do all the work that you want us to do regionally, apply it locally. So again, I can't emphasize this enough. This is a multiplier. This is, yes, it's an increase to get the per capita amount, but it returns that much more federal dollars that we're able to then turn around to the region. So this is not just like padding or something like that. This is literally enabling us to serve you. I mean, it really is.
Another thing, a stumbling block, to try and keep employees employed here, we have to compete against Chicago. And that's been a stumbling block with us keeping and getting employees. We had a lot of positions we couldn't fill there for a long while.
That is absolutely correct. And we've worked hard at trying to right-size these salaries. Talea has done just a tremendous job trying to make that work in the midst of our other responsibilities. But that is true. We compete against the Chicago market. We don't compete against downstate Indiana.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. The Personnel and Finance Committee had a favorable recommendation on moving forward with this.
Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second that we approve resolution 23-16.
Mr. Chairman, could I make a request that the staff send a letter to the fiscal bodies of each of our counties telling them the amount that will be generate, are expected next year, and maybe in ensuing years, so they have an idea of what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
So this is,
Great suggestion.
to some of it, it's gonna be a surprise.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, can I also request you include those graphics that you put in here? Sure.
Is there any other discussion? All in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Thank you.
The last item that the Personnel and Finance Committee discussed was the lease for the building that we're all sitting in right now. Attorney Hollenbeck will fill us in on some of the details.
Thank you. The lease under which we occupy this building expires on December 31st of this year. We have been in discussions with Portage in an effort to fulfill what was the consensus that had been reached, and that's that we would like to stay here. And so Ty and I have met on a couple of occasions with the Portage delegation, and we've made significant progress toward accomplishing that end. In fact, the term is confirmed, the rent is confirmed, and again, Talea, that rent is in our budget and fits in our budget. Sometimes the devil gets into the detail, and we're still working on some of these things. We had hoped to have that done so that the lease could be out to you in a period of time where you could review it in anticipation of approving it today. That hasn't happened, and you can blame me for that. I didn't want to send you a 27-page document on Tuesday and expect you to have read it and understood it and had any questions resolved by then. So we're going to pause that approval based on our discussions with Portage, and we're going to put this on the agenda of your January 18th meeting, which is the next meeting that you have. In the interim, we'll close those gaps, we'll have a finalized lease, and we'll be able to get it out to you in a timely fashion so you'll have a chance to look at it. Indeed, I'm confident that we'll have that done by December 31st, which is when this one expires, but you don't have a meeting then until the 18th. So we're not going to consider it today, but we will consider it on the 18th. In the interim then, we will have an agreement that the lease will be extended for those extra 45 days or so until we can get this body reconvened and get it approved. That's kind of where we are. I don't know any other kind of report that needs to be made, other than I would ask, Mr. Chairman, that this body confirm the willingness to extend their existing lease until their meeting on the 18th of January.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we extend the current lease.
I'll second that.
Motion is second that we affirm the extension of our current lease. Is there any discussion?
I have a question. Is Portage aware of our situation?
Absolutely. In fact, Portage, in fairness to Portage, it wasn't for lack of effort, kept trying. And if our meeting, instead of today, was a week or 10 days from now, there'd be no question in my mind that I'd have a final lease to show you. The problem is it's today, and we've still got a couple of loose ends to.
Do we have anything in writing from an extension perspective?
That's in the process of being prepared. We didn't decide that we couldn't get it done today until Tuesday. So that's something that we have.
So from a legal perspective, can we vote on something that?
Yes, yeah, what you're doing is authorizing Ty and I to accomplish that task, and I have no reason to think it won't easily be accomplished. If your concern is that we're going to get evicted on January 1st.
We have become very adept at working at home.
That's right, there's a big thing about working at home. I never thought it would come up in the context of being evicted from this meeting. Oh, and we have the mayor of Portage. I think she can tell you that she has no, Until then, she won't have any interest in getting us kicked out, and I suspect the new administration will not. Everyone wants this to happen.
Mr. Elder, what will be the term? You
The new lease that we've agreed to is a 5-year lease. Our previous lease was a 10-year lease. And Ty, do you want to address the issue of why we focused on 5 years?
We've talked about this finance and personnel, but it's just in 5 years' time, there's just a lot happening in this region with transit development districts and some other opportunities that NERC has long been a champion of trying to promote these and to help these to grow. And so should there become the opportunity within that time frame for NERC to be a part of the new transit development districts, it's good to have that option, since a 5-year time frame actually syncs up really well with those transit development districts actually being activated and coming online. So to have our options to be able to perhaps, with Portage or whoever, to avail ourselves of one of these newer locations is a great opportunity that we won't see for a while. So that's the thinking behind 5 years. And I just have to mention the mayor-elect is here as well, so he just gave the thumbs up also. Everybody's on the same page.
On day one, don't worry.
It's just day 2 we have to worry about.
You're good, we're good.
Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Thank you.
We'll see you on the 18th of January.
There you go. Technical planning, Mr. Bursky.
The Technical Planning Committee met on Tuesday, November 28th. We heard a presentation from staff on the freight chapter of the recently adopted NWI 2050 Plus plan, addressing issues affecting trucking, maritime, and pipeline transport across the region, and their role as a significant positive impact on the economy of northwestern Indiana. Staff will present the remainder of the chapters at future TTC meetings. There are 3 actions for consideration today. The first action is Resolution 2303, Sensible Tools Handbook Plus, on page 28, which is coming up. And this was an award-winning document originally, and I'm glad to see the amendments come forward. Iman Ibrahim will present it, as we have it on the screen.
This is actually very funny right now. I am trying to get it figured out, I promise.
Rather than have some dead space, maybe I could help set some context while you're pulling it up.
Please.
There was a previous handbook that was adopted, I believe, in 2007, Sensible Tools, which was before my time, but was extremely well received. And what that Sensible Tools handbook did was to try to bridge the gap that if we are doing things on the regional level and have a regional vision for Northwest Indiana, as you all know in your own municipalities, what makes or breaks the achievement of that regional vision is really what happens on the local level. It's at your local plan commissions, your local ZBAs. That's really where almost literally the rubber meets the road. And so if we have a disconnect between decisions that are made on the local level and a regional plan, then we're never going to achieve the regional vision. So what the Sensible Tools Handbook did back in 2007 was to provide a set of tools that local officials could use to help them just think through the effect of local decisions on things bigger than themselves. So it provided handy checklists to go through in accordance with Indiana zoning enabling statute, and enabled just folks that maybe got appointed to a plan commission and had no idea what they got appointed to, gave them some resources to be able to make informed decisions. And so at some point, it was thought that while that document was still very valid in terms of the zoning enabling statute, there are a few more things that would be helpful for local planning officials to be able to avail themselves of and understand. And that was the impetus for this new Sensible Tools Handbook Plus. It gets the plus just in keeping with the NWI 2050 Plus as we updated that regional plan. So it goes on to some other areas. I just don't want to steal the man's thunder.
Thank you,
There
Tommy.
is a copy
Good
of
morning,
this.
everyone. So I don't
Morning,
know, it's
morning.
working here, but it's not working over there, so I don't know. Let's try this. Okay.
They can just swap out the presenter mode.
This is, doesn't,
There's a copy of this at each one of your places too, if you want to come through Iman's presentation.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. You have in front of you, you have two, unfortunately, some trees gave their lives for this meeting today. The Sensible Tools Handbook you actually literally have in front of you, so we could talk through that, if not the slides, if that's okay.
And I'd like to express our appreciation to the towns and cities for allowing their planners to participate as the advisory group for this updated manual.
Thanks,
That
Deb.
we
That's
on the
absolutely
inside
right.
of the front cover, as well as our staff.
This was not done in a vacuum.
I think it's working. Good
Perfect
morning,
timing.
everyone. So today Ty gave a good background about the 2007, and now we are based on the major recommendations came out of the 2050 plan in 2019 is to continue the good effort that we did in 2007 and adding more challenges and opportunities that happened in the last 10 years, and we thought is to have a new goal, which is 2023. So it was done here at NERC. I was the project manager for this project. I had a wonderful team worked with me, Kathy, Mitch, Scott, and Joe, that he used to be environmental planner here at NERC. And also we have a good review from Ty, Tom, and Candy, and Meredith. So it's really great effort from all the staff here at NERC. So basically, the 2007, as Ty mentioned, was just to guide commissioners, planners on the best practices and how to make a right decision about sensible growth. And we're still using all of the checkup questions and checklists, which I will show you examples later. What we did is we updated that. We got the major things like hazard mitigation, climate change. We have more transit-oriented development, and we wanted to add all of these elements. We have a smart cities. We have all of these new elements that wasn't in the 2007. That's why we came up with the 2023. So in the 2007, we had this list of planning for sensible growth, or if you want to make a decision about growth. So when you, as a commissioners, elected officials, or a planner, you have application in front of you or a plan, and you want to make sure that it's going in the right direction, considering all of the sensible growth elements, and then you go through questions, and through these questions, either you put numbers or you put yes or no, and then you check your score by the end of the application. Here is an example showing here if I wanted to have a sensible growth checkup for current comprehensive plan. And that's by answering these questions, and they give you on the left here the scoring. So if you have the majority of yes, it means that you're having a wonderful plan. And in this case also, if you have a lower, it means maybe you need to update your comprehensive plan. That's an example, but we have that for everything: subdivision plan, site plan review, and zoning amendment, and growth management. So that's just showing the examples. We had the training before for all the plan commissioners, developers, and zoning administrator on this exercise, and it went very well. And we are planning actually after the adoption of the 2023 handbook is to continue with the training in partnership with the Purdue Extension from Lafayette. The next one here is the 2023 Sensible Tools Handbook Plus, which we added plus because we added more stuff to this report. And as I mentioned, we wanted to focus more in a more broad suite of planning tools, and also showing good practices within the region or nationwide that help the communities here in the counties. So we had a working group which included planners from around the region, and also included 2 or 3 staffs from Purdue Lafayette planning department. And so we came up with these desired outcomes, which we really wanted to have a walkable, unbikeable, and mixed use within our area. We wanted to focus more in green space and parks and gathering spots. Of course, we added here more affordable housing and a healthy environment within the area. We have a list, and it's called environmental sustainable communities. We had it before in the 27, but we added also how to shift to a smart city as a community or as a county. It's the communications is moving so fast with technology, and we want it to be up to date with this technology. So the first thing, how to use the handbook. So we came up with the 5 tools: resilient, healthy, sustainable, equitable, and smart. And under every element here, we have like a focus area. So for resilient, for example, we're focusing on the hazard mitigations and also how to resolve that with the stormwater management. And we are providing tools with every one of this. Healthy, which is healthy and sustainable, has the most elements, which we adding like air quality under healthy, water quality, and also adding the green cities, which is very important, school siting, I can see very well, safety and security, and then transit. Sustainable, of course, how to continue to have a sustainable community and livable communities, and we have all the items that keep our region sustainable, including energy, brownfields, and urban agriculture. Equitable, we're focusing on environmental justice and equitable transit-oriented development and universal design. Smart, of course, we're focusing here on the Internet of Things and also how to get the micro-mobility, cell towers, all of these items that is related to a smart city. Here in the next one, also how to use the handbook. So in addition to all of these tools, which if you have a specific area, I know it's a huge report, it's over 190 pages, but like if you have a specific area, you choose the tool that you would like to look at it or get the references or get all the good example and best practices have been completed by other communities and check on that. So also we have the appendices here, Appendix A, which is showing all the policies and principles that came from a leading organization. In case any community wanted to adopt or have a new policy, they can look into that. Appendix B have a good examples of all the solar, wind power, and also the cell tower ordinance. And that's ready for them, just if they wanted to adopt it, just adjust it to your community. Appendix C, as we mentioned before, we updated all the questions and checklists from the 2007, and now it's included in Appendix C. So I know it's a huge report, so I'm gonna just go quickly over the item that we have. Resiliency here with the hazard mitigation, and we have like provided some tools here, how to adjust your land use code and zoning, showing some good examples and programs for community to do that, and also showing some other tools, online tools that you could use for them. The chart here on the right, I don't know if this is working. I think it needs better. So the map here showing the dark blue color, showing the precipitations in the last 50 years almost, which is increasing by 42%. So, and it's going to continue to increase, and we're ready for that, you know, for all of these hazards and disasters and stormwater issues. So that's something that we should be ready for, and we are providing the tools for that. Of course, every chapters or every element here has so many good tools, but I'll just try to make it short. The next one here is healthy. As I mentioned, it has all the air quality, the water quality, the healthy sanitation, green cities, active transportation, aging population, school siting, and transit. I'm not gonna explain all of that, but one of the good examples here showing the compressed natural gas, and we have the city of Hobart already had this program, and they installed that, and that's something which is really beneficial for the air quality. Also how to reduce auto emission and traffic congestion. The examples here on the top right showing good examples of compact development with a good accessibility of multimodal transportation system. So the one on the right is Barcelona. has almost 2.8 million of population. And the one on the left is Atlanta, which has even less, 2.5 million. And if you look at the carbon emissions in Barcelona is 0.07, and in Atlanta is 7.5. And Atlanta, with less population, is about 26 times the size of Barcelona. This is just showing a good example of how you do, like, how is the compact development and consideration of transit and biking and walking can make it good for the air quality. Also here, green cities, we're talking about how to become a green cities. We are ranking here in the top 100 with the Chicago metro area as green cities, which is great. We have the city of Indianapolis also ranked number 36, and we have Fort Wayne in Indiana ranked as 77. And they have like a certain factors that they consider to become a green cities. And in this one, it's showing focusing more in the environment, focusing on transit, focusing on urban agriculture and any like farmhouses or farmer markets. That's make it all a good green cities. The map on the left here showing the green space within our Northwest Indiana area, and the lighter color is the area lacking green space and trees, and that's something we map all of that and we make recommendations, and we have a tree program here at NERC, and that's something give us indication which area really needs to have like more tree in the future. The second map on the right is showing the connectivity, and if you have a well-connected streets, that's encouraging people to bike more and walk more, and all the dark brown area, which is mostly downtown area, it's having a great connection. But that's showing how is also the great connectivity, it's great for the environment. Alternative transportation and complete streets, and I know Mitch is just Mitch is I know he's just to give a lot of information about complete streets, showing here on the top right the benefit of complete streets and how is like introduce a good crash reduction if you have a complete street within your area. Aging population here, we are expecting by the 2030 to have increased on people 80 and up, which we expect it to be 47% increase, and by 2050, 21% increase. So are we ready for that? Are we planning for the aging population? Do we have a safe routes for seniors, which are providing also a guideline for that? Do we have the right housing for them? The right area to live in? That's something that we need also to consider, and we are providing the right tools for communities to look into that. Transit, of course, we have 11 new transit-oriented development coming along with the South Shore, and we are, all the communities trying to get ready for that. And based on that, we put at NERC like a transit-oriented development funding program here to help all of these communities, but also we put like a more principles and more benefits that people can look at it to have a successful transit-oriented development. We're looking also at the transit safety and security, and that's we provide tools for the transit agencies, how to evaluate not just the ridership, the users. If they have any issue, if they have a safety issue, security issue, so they have to review all of that and then based on that make recommendations, as you see here on the one, the mid-block crossing for bus stations and how you make it safe for users. Sustainable, it has all about the urban forestry and wetland protection, farmland protection, also talking about urban agriculture, energy, and brownfields. So the examples here on the right showing how is the city of Portage and Potter County, they made a list of all the type of forest within this chart, and we are encouraging like all other communities, also to start doing something similar to that. Farmland preservation and water conservation, it's showing here the chart showing that we are, Indiana in general, the farmland is at high risk because of the conversion of farmland and open space, and that's something that we providing like a tools and policy and how you work on that as a community. Urban agriculture is growing. We have a successful examples here within Northwest Indiana, but also we have the city of Indianapolis leaders in this urban agriculture. We have about 134 urban and community gardens and 20 urban farms. And we have also like an audit tools for anybody wanted to have like an urban agriculture. They go through these questions. Energy is, most of the county here, the green color showing is the adopted wind power or wind ordinance, and we have the 3 counties already adopted that, which is great. The other map here showing the top half of Indiana, which is the purple color, showing that we really have a good wind to have a wind power within our communities. So we're also addressing that and addressing the solar within this report. Affordable housing, that's a main issue here in general, not just in Indiana and other states too. The affordability of housing and the cost of living by county, showing here the top in Lake and Porter County has a very high than average income, which is like consider like something that we should work on it. We also showing that we have a lacking of almost 127,000 for renting for low income people. A housing program, the circle here showing with the red arrow that we have only one state tools for affordability, and that's showing also that like maybe we need to work and add more program. Some communities, they just work individually without the state and have like a good programs for affordable housing. Equitable, as I mentioned, is focusing on environmental justice, and now they have something new, they call it equitable transit-oriented development, and we have a benefit for that. Which people, if they live low income, mid income, high income in general, if they live near transit, they could save $10,000 and they will have more accessibility to better jobs if they are living near transit. Addressing the universal design here and also the Vision Zero that we're talking how to accommodate all modes of transportation in one street. Smart, as I mentioned, we're talking about the Internet of Things and smart cities, and I know that the local governments, also some of them applying this technology, like for example for public trash collector or trash cans, some of them they have sensors now, so in their office they can tell if the trash can need to be emptied or not. So, and that saves time in case of people just go and it's not fully like full. The other thing also with parking and parking sensor, and people through their phones now they can tell where to park or which parking has available spaces. All of that is the Internet of Things, and of course it's an input, human input. To that. And smart also we're covering the micro-mobility as a mode of transportation with all the scooter and electric bikes, which is also we are encouraging. We offering here an ordinance and how to make zoning for this and make it available for a specific area. So we have a lot, as I mentioned, and that's like conclude my presentation. I know it's so long, but it's a big report. So, and it's been like in the last 2.5 years, all the staff is working on that. It was a great effort. And as I mentioned, the next steps we will have like a training for our elected officers, planners, and developers. So, any questions?
I got a comment. In the Title VI program, Lake County Community Service, the president of that organization is State Senator Rick Nina. And that's good, you have a state senator chairing one of the committees.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
That's coming up next.
The next event.
Okay, the technical committee, planning committee recommends approval of resolution 2303. It's on page 28 of the packet. Mr. Chairman, will you motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second that we approve resolution 2303-03 Sensible Tools Handbook Plus. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Thank you. Motion.
The second is, thank you, Mark. I guess we're going to move up to the second action for the adoption of Resolution 2314, since Stephen's already up there. Adopting Title VI program update.
All right, morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So some of you may not be familiar with what Title VI is. You might be more familiar actually with Title IX, which is the collegiate sports and high school sports rules. This is actually part of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and it prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin for any programs or activities that are receiving federal assistance. And it's also been updated to include other categories for non-discrimination, like the environmental justice categories, which, if you're familiar with that, that just kind of broadens things to where you don't have to fit into some of those originally named classes to be entitled to federal protections. What is in our program? It is guidance for the decision-making process for spending federal funds regarding transit. So that it assures that minority populations are not unduly burdened when there are changes to transit service. Obviously, there will be some, if there's a reduction in service, there will be some not harm, but impact to some communities. And the purpose of this is to make sure that it's not kind of targeting protected categories, and that it's done in a way that's fair and understanding of what's going on in the community. We have profiles of both the region and the ridership of our transit services to make sure that, again, we're looking at it in a way that is balanced. It profiles the demographics of the commission and the boards and committees that NERC has to make sure that, insofar as it's possible, we're representing the people accurately. Obviously, with, in particular in this body, elected officials, it's going to be a little bit different than a true representation of our demographics of the whole community, but that's tied to state legislation, and we just have to present to the federal government that this is our representation. It also includes our public participation plan, the Engage NWI. So that's part of why this packet starts to get long. And then the Title VI plans from our subrecipient transit operators. So the back, close to 2/3 of this document is things submitted by our subrecipients and our public participation plan. So why are we updating it? First, it's required by the Federal Transit Administration that this be updated every 4 years. But also, and more importantly, it helps us to make sure that we're utilizing the funding appropriately. Also, membership of our commission and committees change over time. That's We already mentioned a few of those changes to the commission. Appointees change over time, staff representation changes over time, and the last reason that we update our program is that the subrecipients use our plan to guide their Title VI program updates. So if ours is more up to date, theirs can be a more robust tool as well. So the big things that have been updated are the demographic profiles. We've got here the maps from this document that actually are also the maps from EWI 2050 Plus for limited English proficiency, poverty level, and minority populations. And then we update those demographics for the commission and committees as self-identified by surveying our commission members and committee members. If you have any questions about this, I'm happy to answer those.
There are no questions. Then the Technical Planning Committee recommends adoption of Resolution 2315 as appears on page 31. Are there any questions? I need a motion.
The chair will entertain a motion at this time.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second that we approve resolution 23-14, Title VI program. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
The third action today is for the approval of the NERC Southwest Michigan Planning Commission cooperative for the coordination of land use and transportation planning in the Michigan City portion of the Michigan City, LaPorte, Indiana, Michigan urban area. Scott Weber will explain.
Call your attention to pages 29 to 30 of your agenda packets. Don't worry, I don't have an electronic notification. It's appropriate, the screens went up. Just a very quick update. This replaces an existing agreement between NERC and the Southwestern Michigan Planning Commission. So this agreement was necessitated because in the 2020 census, the urban area of the Michigan City LaPorte area extended further into Berrien County in Michigan. And some of the numbers that are referenced in that old 2016 agreement that this replaces are now out of date. So this is an agreement between NERC and SWMPC that allows for that agency to conduct the federally required transportation planning and programming in the Michigan portion of the Michigan City LaPorte urban area. And it also provides a means of coordinating the planning activities across state lines. And as you can see, the only things that substantively changed from this agreement based on the 2016 agreement were in paragraph 4 of the agreement where we reference the updated 2020 census numbers. You can see the updated populations. So there really are no other substantive changes, and the Southwestern Michigan Planning Commission plans on reciprocating the agreement of this planning agreement at their board meeting later this month. So.
This is ongoing maintenance of an agreement that we struck called Wing Spread of cooperation and agreements between area planning commissions. We also have agreements with northeastern Illinois, southeastern Wisconsin. So this affects specifically the type of funding that LaPorte, Michigan City did, and Berrien County did. The Technical Planning Committee recommends approval of this version.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second that we approve the planning agreement with the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to thank yourself, Richard Hardaway, Sue Lynch, and Brian Snedeker for the promotion to the agency for 2 years. And the next meeting of the Technical Planning Committee will take place Tuesday, January 9th, 2024, at 10 a.m. in this meeting space. From what I've heard, is that right, Mayor Habib?
Very good.
Thank you, sir. Economic Development District report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just a few items to report on. The first is that the Fort County revolving loan program has now been defederalized, and that's a process whereby revolving loan programs that have been in the revolving phase for at least 7 years can seek that defederalization from the EDA. We were successful in achieving that. What that means is that it eliminates certain twice-a-year reporting that we have to do to the EDA, but it does not necessarily eliminate certain spending restrictions on this money. So we're having some more internal discussion about what this means on a practical level, and we'll probably be having conversations with the Fort County Loan Committee sometime after the first of the year. But the good news is, as we get through the defederalization. The other news to share with you is that we have a new economic development representative for EDA that's been assigned to Indiana. Her name is Ellen Heinz, and we share her with the state of Ohio. I spoke to her on Monday, and I updated her on several projects that have been proposed by communities. So I encourage you, if you have projects that you're thinking about applying for EDA funding, to reach out to me. We can arrange a phone call with Ellen, talk through the eligibility, talk through the competitiveness, and in general, begin to get her acquainted with what's going on in Northwest Indiana. And then lastly, we belong to an organization called CDFA, which I believe is Community Development Finance Association, and they awarded a scholarship to NERC that will allow me to attend a 2-day federal finance web course next week in order to learn more about grant programs available through other federal agencies. Are there any questions? Thank you.
NDOT?
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. It is December 7th, and we're going to hit 50 degrees today, so that's good news, but I don't think we're out of the woods for the snow yet, so I just wanted to make everyone aware, NDOT is ready for the snow season. Our barns are full, and our trucks are ready to roll, so when that does start falling, we'll be out there in force as well. Also kind of wanted to mention the Kankakee Welcome Center. If you haven't had a chance to get out there yet, over on southbound 65, we opened that in October. The governor and Commissioner Mike Smith from NDOT came up, along with myself and several others, and we cut the ribbon on the new Welcome Center. I don't know how many people have traveled across country and seen other Welcome Centers in other states. Some of them are pretty impressive, and I would venture to say that our previous one didn't really compete with those, being that it was a little old and maybe even a little smelly, I would admit. The new one is definitely state of the art. If you haven't had a chance to go out there and take a peek, I really would recommend you do that. It's impressive. I think it's a great testament to the state of Indiana and what we do here with a conservation theme and representative of the dunes as well, too. So as part of a bigger program to rehab welcome centers across the state, 21 of them over the next 10 years. So I'm really looking forward to an opportunity to take my kids and visit all the welcome centers, believe it or not. We've talked about this because they're pretty impressive. So I hope you have a chance to at least check ours out in the area. Last, the community crossings. Last month we awarded 188 cities, towns, and counties with the matching grant, about $91.5 million in matching funds for community crossings there for that second call of the year. Just kind of want to mention too, in the NERC area, the folks that were able to get around $1 million were Crown Point, East Chicago, Hammond, Lake County, LaPorte County, Maryville, Michigan City, and Burns Harbor. So congratulations to all those folks. And the next call will be on January 2nd, which is a wonderful day because it's my birthday. So drop me a little card and say you're looking to apply for community crossings. No, you don't have to do that. But looking forward to that next month. So, but that's the last I've got. If anybody has questions, either now or after the meeting, I'm happy to answer them.
Thanks, Matt. At this time, is there any other business? Any announcements? Robert?
I already made the one about Lakeshore Public Media, but Tuesday night at our town council meeting, we're building a new police station and a new fire station on our town ground, and we received a concept plan for a new town hall, which is well needed. And I hope, I've got a majority of a new council coming on in January, and I hope we can move forward with this. It looks beautiful.
Any other announcements? If not, the next meeting for NERC will be January 18th at 9 p.m. Have a good day.
Thank you all. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.